It's been about 6 weeks since the last Paulownia update, and as you can see, they're certainly growing. Going to start with those that I planted in October last year, just to reinforce my point that you can plant Paulownia and eucalyptus and trees in general at any time of year. So new growth on that. Vegetation control will be important until they establish themselves. And as you can see, growth on that one. Growth on that one, and out of the 6 there's only one that hasn't started producing new growth, and to be honest, it wasn't in great shape when I planted it, so I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't hopeful. Of those that I planted between July and September 2021, it's quite a mixed picture. So this one was planted September 21 and not amazing growth, but it is growing. What I definitely found about all of them is in the first year, don't expect any amazing results. These, I'm quite happy with the growth on these. This one's a bit better, a bit faster of a starter, but this is what they're going to do in the first year. They're going to grow shoots from the roots. As I say, a mixed picture. So these were also planted September 21 and considerably smaller, less growth, though they are growing from the stem, and that's encouraging. Of those that were planted earlier on, again, even these, it's a mixed picture. These are growing from the stem. We did have a fairly strong 50 km/h northwesterly, maybe about 4 weeks ago. I think that definitely burnt some of the fresh growth, and I think also something's eating these, which might account for some of the slowness in some of these. As you can see though, this one healthy, growing quickly now. Love to see all the colour in the flowers, just fabulous. So these are the best ones, these are tomentosas, and as I say, I definitely think something's been at them. Definitely. Anyway, I'm encouraged that these are growing from the stem, so hopefully this year they'll put on the 3 metres in one season that I was expecting. This one, as you can see, this is also a tomentosa. It's shooting mainly from the base, so hopefully that will get established this year. Again, these are all tomentosa. I was amused, maybe that's not the right word, by the black leaves that they came out with last year when they started growing, but that seems to be pretty much standard. Good healthy growth though. This is probably the one that's thickest in the stem, maybe 4 centimetres. So as I say, hopeful that these are going to do a lot better this year and from now on. This was another one I planted. It was a replacement for one that I went over with the lawnmower. And hey, wow, look at that. The one that I went over with the lawnmower is actually growing back. So that's amazing. So I think from memory that was August maybe last year. So as I say, I don't think it really matters when you plant these. These are all Shantong, so pretty reasonable. Not quite as good growth as the tomentosa, but this is a north-facing slope, so anything on the north side is going to be slower, and there's also considerable shading from the hedgerow. So the next ones down, these are Nord Max. These are a hybrid, supposedly ideal or best suited to colder northern climes. And yeah, I'm happy enough with them, but as you can see there, very mixed picture. This was actually the best specimen I had after the first growing season at the end of the 2021 season. So definitely it's growing well. Fingers crossed for 3 metres of growth this year. And these are Paulownia, and very mixed picture, as I say. This is the most northerly and the most exposed. Look at the whitethorn, just amazing. I often get asked what I think of native species. You'd be hard pressed to stand next to a whitethorn in full bloom like that and not to be impressed. Just amazing. Anyways, back to the Paulownia. This one is sprouting from the stem. As I say though, some of them just seem to be a bit burnt off or just not doing quite as well as others. As I say, perhaps the wind burn or something eating them. This one growing from the base again. Wasn't particularly strong last year, but hopefully this year it will establish itself. So yeah, mixed picture. Here's another one growing from the stem, but slower, a lot slower than the rest of them. How far apart to plant these? I've had a strategy with all of my trees, other than the hedges which I've planted really close and the screening, to plant a metre apart, which is pretty much the spacing that I've planted these Paulownia at. I guess it depends what your strategy is. If you're growing a commercial plantation of Paulownia for constructional timber, then from the research that I've done, a grid spacing of a minimum of 3 metres is what you're looking for. Generally speaking, a 4 metre spacing, grid spacing for commercial constructional timber Paulownia forests. When I planted these, my original objective was to coppice them for firewood and of course to negate the requirement to mow this part of the lawn. Anyways, fingers crossed I do get significant growth this year and can coppice these for firewood. However, I'll be equally pleased to let this grow into a branching thick jungle, and perhaps not next year, but certainly the year after that it will be an amazing display of purple flowers. My stock of Paulownia is growing quickly now, and I do have a few for sale immediately. Within the next 4 weeks I'd expect to have quite a few more. I'll give you a close-up of what they look like. A few tomentosa, perhaps a few that will be ready in the next couple of weeks maximum. After my disastrous year last year, things are definitely starting to come right. I am so pleased. I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy seeing plants grow. So these polytunnels now kitted out the way I should have done it originally. Very difficult to say what you should have done and in hindsight, but I'm pleased now I've got the balance between flexibility and storage just about as good as I can get it for my setup. Anyways, these are Paulownia tomentosa, more of those, and I'll be plugging these up during the next week. So going to have good stock of tomentosa very shortly. These are Paulownia, and I've just sown these So I'd say these will be a couple of weeks at this time of year in the polytunnel to germinate, and then again it will be midsummer, so they'll grow rapidly. So perhaps another 4 weeks after that to plugging them up. Maybe a bit less, that's 6th of April for that one. Yeah, maybe about 4 weeks to plugging these up, and then another 8 weeks I'd say after that before they're plantable. But as I say, very well geared up to it now. I learnt all my lessons, and I'm expecting consistency from now on. Shantong, and as you can see, very successful germination and propagation now. I did do a video earlier on about water germinating Paulownia. What I'd say is the original method that I did, where I just surface sowed them, works a treat. And as you can see, just fabulous germination rate and fabulous propagation, and these are growing rapidly now. These were water propagated, so I'm not going to say anything against water germinating them. However, I did find it a mission to plug them on, and this one here, I'll maybe take a photo with the phone. Maybe you can just see in there, that one actually, it was a bud that broke off one of the tomentosa out there in my small plantation, and dipped it in root hormone powder, and as you can see, it's growing nicely there. So in terms of clones versus seed, I would be happier to grow from seed and then propagate on cuttings from the best of what grows here, so they're more acclimatized, adapted to their environment. A few more tomentosa here and some elongata. Elongata I want to plant as another area in my small plantation there, and once I get Fortunii seeds, then I'll plant some Fortunii. Quite keen to grow as many natural species as possible. Having said that, these are Nord Max, and as I say, these are supposed to be best suited and adapted to northern climes. I don't think there's actually a hybrid specific to Ireland. It'd be great if some genetics company could come up with a specific clone, perhaps. Though again, as I say, I'd probably go back to my strategy of growing them from seed, taking those that are best and cloning them on site to be adapted to your own very specific geographic location. But these are growing well, Nord Max, so I'll have quite a few of them very shortly. I still have a few of last year's plugs, Paulownia. They're all hybrids. I'll pass these on to customers buying, pre-ordering my stock of fresh Paulownia. I'll be back in another 4 weeks or so with another Paulownia update, and I'm absolutely sure that these will be significantly bigger in another 4 weeks. Hope that helps. Meantime, good luck.